Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome back to another video on the channel. Today we're going to be installing and refurbing a big brake kit for my Civic. Now for those of you that might be following along with my Instagram and TikTok, you'll have seen that recently I picked up a Porsche 986 brake kit for my Civic. Now I'd initially tried refurbing this before, but a combination between the prep, the paint and once it had all dried really didn't look how I wanted it to. So we shot blasted the calipers back down to bare metal, got some more paint and tried it again. And by putting two and two together, I'm presuming you can tell that they turned out a lot better this time, as you can see in the following clips. So we are going to be putting them on the car and finally getting some serious stopping power behind this Civic. For the caliper paint, I actually used some Foliatech caliper paint, and it was as simple as spraying it on. Now in the kit it does come with brushes and everything like that, so you can brush it on should you want to, but I was lucky enough to have access to this little spray gun, and applying them with a spray gun was so much easier and it gave us such a nice finish. And as you can see, these things turned out stunning. Look at them. Proper. They actually look really good. So, the calipers are like, obviously all now refurbed and ready to go. I've run into a slight problem. We went to make sure we'd got everything last night, and the fitting kit that I'd ordered is wrong. So, these springs effectively sit on the back of the calipers, and a pin goes through this little hole, and pushes down on the spring to hold the caliper, to hold the pads in place rather. And unfortunately the fitting kit that I had ordered and got delivered was wrong. So we've done a load of ringing round this morning. All the parts people that the garage use as a business can't get anything, unfortunately. So as a last ditch resort, we're going to go to a Porsche main dealer and see, hopefully, fingers crossed, we've rung up and they said they've got them in stock. So we're going to go and take the old one as a reference and fingers crossed get the pad fitting kit so we can get these bad boys fitted up this weekend. I'll also show you as well, just before we set off, the discs. Look at them bad boys. So we've got 294mm discs, and then obviously the 4-pot 986 Brembos to go on the front, and then all the brackets and everything to go with it. But I'm really hoping that they're all going to be that everything is then going to bolt up okay, because obviously we haven't even started trying to put them on the car yet and we've already had a few little problems. So I'm really hoping that this is the last hiccup we've got and then everything bolts up and goes on proper this weekend. I did realise I haven't ordered my high boiling point brake fluid because I'm an idiot, but we're going to flush the system with normal fluid for now, and then when I do the disc conversion on the rear and the high boiling point fluid actually needs to go in the car, we'll flush it. I'll order a load then and we'll flush it all through at the same time. But that is all for a later date. Let's get over to Porsche and, fingers crossed, pick up this fitting kit. Oh, look how good they look. I almost don't want to put them in the car. I just want to keep them as an ornament. Now take a listen as to what solid engine mounts in an old car sound like. And there we have it. Just like that. These are the old, really just rusty, dusty, crusty, horrible ones. And yeah, I came over to Porsche dealership in Leicester, which is my closest one, picked up the new pad fitting kit, so fingers crossed. I'm now really hoping that I've got everything I need to go home and put this big brake kit on. That, I think when we looked yesterday, that, like I say previously, these were the only things that we didn't have right. So I'm really hoping everything now bolts up, we can bleed it and we'll be on to a winner, but let's go and get that done. And after the side quests were completed, it was officially time to try and get these bad boys bolted up to the car. And after Dad was feeling better after his burp, it was time for us to get the wheels off and start stripping one side down so we could test fit everything and make sure they were going to work before we pulled apart both sides of the car. Now once the wheels were off, I didn't have to worry about taking the caliper off the carrier because it was all coming off anyway, so I could get a 17mm socket and unbolt the caliper carrier straight off the hub. Once that was out of the way, we could move on to unbolting the disc and removing that. and then we could get on to mocking up the conversion brackets so these new calipers can bolt to the standard hubs. Now if you lot want to do a kit like this on your Civic, I'll put a link in the description to the brackets that allow you to bolt different brake kits up to your Civic. Now once these were nipped up, we could talk them to spec, and the torque specs for these can either be found on their website or on the brackets themselves.
This stuff clears it.
Does?
Good? Good.
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 It's good. It's good. It's good.
Now that all this was sorted, we could move on to cleaning up the brake disc surfaces so they were free from any debris and oils and greases, and then we could finally get on to bolting up the caliper. Now, as you can see, this combination between the C-hook disc and these big calipers look insane, but most importantly, does the wheel fit?
Take it back now or later?
Yes, it does. Ladies and gentlemen, we now have the porta brakes on the Honda. Last thing was to attach the brake lines, bleed them, pressurise the system, and make sure that there were no leaks before we could move on to the other side and do it all over again. And just like that, the process starts all over again. We're going to take off the disc, mount the bracket, mount the caliper, mount the disc, bolt everything up, bleed it, pressurise it, make sure there's no leaks, put the wheel back on, and then we are good to road test. You'd have obviously seen the brakes and everything actually fit up under the wheels okay. They're very, very tight on the very lip of the barrel. We had to move the wheel weights just to make sure that there's going to be enough clearance, but they actually clear the wheels really nicely. The camera situation isn't ideal, it's literally just sat on the dashboard, but the only thing left to do is go up the road, bed the brakes in, make sure everything's okay and we've got no leaks, and then we're about done. So fingers crossed, we should be about there. I'll put in the description exactly what the brakes are, what pads they are, and all that sort of stuff, so you guys can look into the kits as well if you need to, but that is pretty much going to wrap it up. So I very much thank all of you for tuning in and watching this. This camera's really doing my tits in. But yeah, I'm going to focus on actually driving, so I will see you in the next one.